I told him.
I'm
I was
just
like, hey, if you're gonna blow those leaves, come blow these leaves,
yeah, nice.
right?
That was God, Lucas, you were just like so irreverent. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
love to just go outside and like flip people off and be like, "Yeah, man, suck it." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
You're
I just
so
like to.
fearless. You're so
I like to
brave.
make people smile.
Yeah.
That's always been my goal. I just want to make people smile, and if talking about my fucking good Jews down there make people smile, then
And
we both get something out of it. I get to talk about my dick, and other people get to laugh about it.
I mean, who wouldn't? Who doesn't need to hear about your undergarments?
Yeah, my gabagools.
Your gabagools, your schlabaganush.
Yeah, Slavaganish. Oh shit! I just hit the mic. That's gonna sound great. Uh, I've been watching a lot of Sopranos. I finally started it.
Oh
I've been
yeah.
like, dude, I've been literally putting it off for months because I'd never seen it, and I kind of like I'm getting to the point now where a lot of the things that I've wanted to see or feel like I need to see, I've done it. So I realized I was like, man, Sopranos is one of those shows that like apparently inspired so many other shows that I love, and I'm like, I need to like finally watch it. But I thought that back in like maybe honestly like 5 months ago,
Well,
and I couldn't bring myself to do it because I was like, I'm moving, and then now that I'm moving, I'm like, I need to get settled in, and now that I'm settled in, I'm like, I don't really have an excuse not to start it. And it's just kind of this like, it's 6 seasons, it's an hour every episode. I think it's like 12 episodes a season. I'm just like, I'm literally like committing like a week and a half worth of just watching something.
I mean, yeah, it's a journey, man.
Yeah, like a week and a half's worth of hours
Did
is what I'm gonna have to put in. Not like I'm not gonna finish this in a week and a half. There's no fucking way.
did Luis influence you to do this at all?
Luis and we kind of thought about it at the same time.
I mean, yeah, because
Uh,
the last time I went over there, they were watching Sopranos.
yeah, yeah. I've been meaning to text him because we were trying to get started at the same time so we could like be able to text each other about it because like who
Yeah.
else is gonna do this? And we were talking about it back when we did our barbecue, like before I left town. That I think I mentioned it, and he was like saying that he was thinking about doing the exact same thing, just like going through all the Sopranos because he had never seen it. We were like, let's do it together, and like, it's like that's like our version of like when women go to the bathroom together. It's like me and my friends always want to like watch the same show or movie at the same time as each other, so we can like text
Yeah.
each other while we're watching, or
Yeah.
So that was me and Luis's like grand idea, and then he texted me probably like a month ago saying like about to get started, like putting on the first episode. When are you gonna do it? And I was just like, man, like, I didn't know at the time, but I was like, in a month. Oh, and he's probably fucking like 4 seasons in already now at this point. But I meant to text him to tell him that I was watching.
Well, that's great because you can text him whatever you want, about the show, and he can't say anything. So you get all your time in the spotlight.
That's true, but that kind of, I was thinking that too because I was watching it the other night. I probably watched like 3 episodes in the first sitting, and it's fucking great. But I was thinking about texting him and being like, I'm gonna be referencing all these little things that happened in these episodes that like he probably won't remember at this point. And I'm like, this kind of sucks. Like that happens a lot with my other friends that they watch a ton of movies like I do, and there'll be so many times where they'll see a movie and tell me I should see it, and then I wait like 2-3 weeks and I finally watch it and I'm texting them while I'm watching, just kind of like live texting, and they don't
Yeah.
seem to get much out of it. And I'm just like, "Ugh, I want to like bounce this off of someone because no one's like, I'm always like really snarky, and we're like those are like two of my friends that are just like super snarky and give the like we criticize the movie as we're watching it.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't seem to be the same when I'm like 3 weeks late to the conversation.
It's just a little well, it's just a little late.
It's just a little late. It was kind of the same thing whenever I was worried a couple episodes ago recording about Coastal Kites, because I'm just like, dude, Brett, we've been sitting on this album for a month, like, by now Brett's just like not gonna care to talk about it. Like it's run its course, and we didn't get to talk about it.
Well, look, you don't need to worry about that, man. I didn't care the first time I listened to it.
Yeah, I know. So by the 7th time, you were like, you were numb.
I was just numb inside, outside.
USA,
baby. You know, you're talking about watching a series along with people so you can like talk about it and criticize. I wish we had something like that, man.
Me and you?
Yeah, like I wish me and you had something where we just like watch a media and we just like talk about it together.
I mean, we're both so busy.
I mean, God, I'm so busy. I'm working on my rice business.
Are you starting a rice business?
Yeah, I'm starting a rice business where I just take little single pieces of rice and I sell them on eBay.
And you say that they belong to a celebrity, that someone...
Yeah, well, I say...
You got it off of someone's fork?
Yeah, I actually just go into restaurants and steal famous celebrities' bowls of rice. And I just sell the individual pieces. They go for like around 5 to 6 cents each, which is
damn.
Yeah, after like 100 or 1,000 pieces of rice, it comes out to a pretty big profit, you know. I'm looking to go on Shark Tank.
Like $6, $60?
About $6, yeah, about enough $6 to pay for a candy bar at the gas station. Hoping to get Mr. Wonderful behind it. Hoping he can invest.
Been watching a lot of Shark Tank lately myself.
Yeah. What's your favorite Shark Tank?
My favorite Shark Tank episode?
Oh no, favorite type of Shark Tank.
Oh. The ones at the aquariums where the people dive in and feed the sharks and you get to watch.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Joke landed.
Oh, that was a joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely landed. I definitely wasn't... I don't have 2 bowls here that I'm hitting at the same time or anything. So we're going to have a lot of landed jokes tonight. I'm going to get them about 2 minutes late.
I mean, I am, I'll be honest, extremely tired.
Yeah, you sound very laid back right now. Is it that you're exhausted?
You know, like, melatonin? You take melatonin?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Literally, like, drinking... whenever I take a melatonin tablet, I cannot get to sleep. Like,
dude, I feel like you're just like so straight edge that it's like the second like you take a Tylenol and you're like, I didn't sleep at all last night. I took 2 Tylenol, and just the caffeine in that really, you know. I'm like, if you eat anything other than like water and unseasoned chicken,
it just messes with my whole system.
You're like, man, I was so stoned yesterday. I had 2 cups of tea, and you're like, whoa, buddy.
Well, it was green tea, you know, and you know what else is green?
Oh, buddy, don't I know it?
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying. So
I know what you're saying.
But like literally everything else in my entire life makes me sleepy and just puts me to sleep except for melatonin.
You're just a little baby boy. Yeah, that's weird, man.
Baby boy.
I had a few odd experiences with melatonin myself that made me not want to take it anymore.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, this was before I got my fucking CPAP machine. Fucking hashtag CPAP life. Hashtag, where my CPAP's at. I feel like we don't get enough representation. I was talking about this the other day. Anytime I see a CPAP machine in like a TV show or a movie, and it's the same as like when I see a vape, like a vape that I use, like a Volcano or like the Mighty or one of the more popular ones, and you'll kind of see it in a TV show, and I'm just like, finally, representation. Like I know what everyone's talking about now when they're saying they want to see representation in movies and TV shows.
You just need to see your little sleep breathe machine in media.
Yeah, let me know I exist.
Yeah.
I'm part of this equation here.
You know what? As a straight cishet white man, I feel you, Lucas. I understand your plight.
Thank you. It's like, when are the people going to talk about us?
Honestly, when am I finally going to get some representation?
Yeah, when's a white Latino with sleep apnea going to be represented on CSI or something? Like, make
Yeah,
me
on
one of
The
the bad guys. I don't
Sopranos.
care. Yeah, put me in The Sopranos. I feel like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of the only shows I've seen that has mentioned a CPAP machine and that you see someone using it. But what I was getting at was I took melatonin one time because I have really bad sleep apnea, so I would wake up all the time in the middle of the night. Sometimes I would wake up not breathing, and one time I started basically being scared to go to sleep, and it
Oh
sucked.
God.
That was like probably the 3 or 4 months before I finally like got a sleep study done and found out that I have sleep apnea, because over the course of like, I think like a 6 month stretch, you probably know this, but like I woke up having panic attacks.
Right, you told me about that.
I'd wake up and immediately when I woke up, I'd realize that I'm not breathing, and I would start hyperventilating. Like my body would like go into like panic mode, and it happened. And I mean, imagine that. Imagine waking up in a panic attack, like in the middle of the night, and your heart's racing, and you can't breathe, and you don't know what to do. And it happened a few times when like I would be with Christina, and of course it like scared the fucking shit out of her, you know.
Right.
So there was a time there where I was legitimately, I would get anxious even going to sleep, trying to go to sleep, because I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want that to be one of those nights. So I would be scared to go to sleep, and I would like try and stay up as long as possible. And there was one night that my anxiety was keeping me up so much that I wanted to sleep and I couldn't. So I took a melatonin, and I had a fucking panic attack that night. And I think, and I attributed it to that the tonin got me so fucking like relaxed and like in deep sleep that I wasn't used to getting, that I stopped breathing.
Oh God.
So it happened twice. It happened to like another time that I was like, all right, I'm gonna take melatonin again, and there's no way it's gonna happen again. And it happened again, and I was just like, all right, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So I have my own history with that.
Have you tried to take it after you got the CPAP machine?
Dude, I've thought about it, and I haven't yet. Like, I'm still nervous to take it, and I don't really need it anymore at this point.
Yeah, if you're already, you told me after you got the machine, you've had you felt more revitalized and had better sleep than you've like ever had in your entire life.
Like ever. And even at this point, like I'm maybe getting like 5.5 hours of sleep a night, and I'm awake from 6 in the morning, and I pass out at midnight every night. Like I have like enough energy to get me through like an entire full day like that, and I'm fine.
Jeez.
And that's what's like, that's the quality of sleep I'm getting. Like even if I'm only getting 5.5 hours, like last night I got like less than 5 hours of sleep, which wouldn't be my fucking preference. Like don't get me wrong, but I did it and I'm fine.
Well, I mean,
so maybe you need to look into some of that. I've been literally recommending CPAP machines for everyone.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if I don't even know, like probably I would say probably 80% of the people that I've recommended it to probably don't need it, but you'd be surprised how many people have told me since I've started talking about like my experience with sleep apnea, that people are like, "Oh yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, I wake up not breathing, or I wake up like choking," and I'm just like, dude, like why aren't you doing something about it? Like at least 5 people have told me, and since then, like my sister and her fiance have gotten CPAP machines because they finally realized that they had the same issues and everything. I'm just like, I'm fucking changing lives.
Man, maybe you need to be the mascot for CPAP machines.
Dude, I have thought about it more than once, doing another podcast about like CPAP and sleep, but also about like losing a ton of weight and trying to like be healthier, because I have like way too much experience having to fucking do that. Right. That I'm and I feel like I have a really unique perspective because I lost like 100 pounds when I was like 20, and then I slowly gained it back until I was like in my early 30s, and then I'm losing the 100 pounds again. Like I've lost like 60 in the last like year or so, or like year and a half.
You've had a little journey over there.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like that losing the weight and coming and having to lose it again, I feel like is one of my unique perspectives I can, and you know, coming from like the experience as like a fucking stoner too, like, and that
Right.
culture is like munching, and that's how I fucking gained my weight was, you know, I dove into the stoner culture a little too much, where I was just like, well, I'm supposed to munch out, like this is part of the deal, you know. So I'd be like, if I'm not munching out, then like, you know, I'm missing out on part of the experience.
Hmm.
So I, for years, you know, 3-4 times a week, I would like go to sleep with like fucking food probably still in my mouth, and just be like, so like I would literally fall asleep with like Oreos in my teeth
Oh, jeez.
because I ate so many Oreos in one sitting, and I would just pass out. And it was
gosh.
like horrible binging, and you know, and then in my head, like going, you know, day to day, being um like I don't know why I can't lose weight, because like my meals would be relatively small. Like I wouldn't eat a lot in a meal, but I would munch out every single night. But
Hmm.
in my head, I didn't count the munching into my equation. So I would
Right.
constantly be like, dude, I eat. It's not like I eat like disgusting meals every fucking day. I'm just like, why can't I lose weight? Why can't I lose weight? And then once I finally stopped all the like snacking, and I started like cooking a lot more, and not like, you know, I wouldn't eat like slutty meals every single time I ate, but I got takeout a lot during the week, like while I was working and everything. And
Mm.
it's just all that I didn't realize it till I went through and started gaining and I mean, I went through and started losing weight again later on in life. And this way I had to do it in a different way, because before I was basically eating whatever I wanted, but I was playing basketball like 3 hours a day, and now I don't have time to play basketball every fucking day, and so I had to watch what I ate. And all those people saying like, oh, it's 90% diet, or it's, you know, X% diet, I always thought that was bullshit. So I'm just like, I don't have a bad diet, and I'm still not losing weight. And then I, you know, you don't realize it till you actually start eating well, that you're just like, oh, I was putting in fucking work to stay, you know, 285 pounds. I was putting in work, dude. Like seeing pictures of us like playing in Mortalis, like, is so trippy to me now, because I look so different. And I, you know, you don't realize it till you look back and you're like, holy fuck, dude. Like I was heavy.
Well, it's
Like I was a big boy. I still am.
oh yeah. You'll always be my big wet boy.
I
But
know in your heart I'll always be your BWB.
but yeah, like you it's really hard to kind of visualize and realize like how much you eat. I got a calorie counter. Every
Oh god, dude.
there's a
That's
little
miserable.
yeah. I go through a little cycle every 6 months where I re-download the same calorie counter, and then I get frustrated and I delete it.
Yeah, dude. Calorie counting is I've that is the first time I was losing weight, I did a lot of calorie counting, but I didn't have like an app, because iPhones didn't fucking exist
Right.
when I was 20. Um but obviously, you know, there's like websites and shit like Weight Watchers and all that. But I did limit my calorie intake by literally just like looking at the stuff that I ate and doing the math in my head. Um, to I think I was eating like 1,200 calories a day for the first like 3 months,
Mm.
which is nothing. Like the reason they tell you that you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories a day, I think, is because you technically burn 2,000 calories a day just from like living.
Yeah, just from existing.
Just from existing, like breathing, like every time you take a breath is like 1 calorie, or that's not true. But even
Don't.
breathing uses calories, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's technically, but so I was limiting myself to 1,200 calories a day, which is really like not enough food for, you know, anyone really. And I lost like 40 pounds really quick from doing that, because like I went from probably eating like 4,000 calories a day to less than what I should be, you know, at a healthy diet.
Right.
Dude, I will say, like, you know, at your age is when I started cooking more, and I found like ways of cooking that I enjoyed. And probably the way I enjoyed it the most, like when I was in college and like up until pretty much the last like couple of years, is barbecuing, man. And you end up like cooking healthy stuff on a barbecue. Like people think that barbecue's not healthy, but it can be, as long as you're not eating mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese and bread and gravy and all that shit with it, you know?
Hmm.
But if you like find ways of cooking that you enjoy and just like basically try and have like as many veggies as you can fit on the plate and like, dude, I honestly don't eat. I feel like I still eat slutty in a healthy way. Because one of the best things about eating healthy is like being able to eat a lot of it.
Right.
Like I still eat a lot of food. Like for dinner, I'll eat a big fucking like plate of food, but it's, you know, quinoa and Brussels sprouts and, you know, asparagus and then just like really good protein. And we just season the shit out of it and it tastes amazing. And there's some nights that we make slutty meals and we don't feel bad because like 80% of our meals are healthy.
Right.
And it's awesome, man. So like I do realize now like how diet really is the key. Like it does so much of the work to like keep you healthy and in shape.
Yeah, right. If you know, and even you can work out as much as you want, but if you got a nasty diet, it's really not going to do too much.
I mean, yeah, I mean you can work out a shitload and be in shape from working out, but you can also be like your insides can not be in good shape.
Yeah.
Like just because you have big muscles doesn't mean that your fucking liver is doing well. And that's where, you know, that's the center of everything right there. So it's just like you might have like you might be able to run for miles and miles, but like honestly if all you eat is like pizza, like there's no way that that's healthy.
Yeah.
You know? And also I feel like if you don't eat well, like you're holding your body back from like really getting as healthy and as like fit as you can be, because like eating rounded means like getting all the nutrients and vitamins that you need to build, you know, those muscles, or like fucking like I'm realizing like this time around losing weight, I'm like way more viscous, or not viscous. I'm not slippery at all.
I could just
I'm way
fit
more
into
vascular.
Vases and bottles. And
Yeah, you throw me against the wall, I slip really
Yeah.
easily, or I don't anymore. No, I'm like vascular is what I meant. Like I see veins where I've never seen veins before. And I swear it's because like one thing that I've been doing a lot too is just drinking a shit ton of water, and I think like when you're really hydrated, I think it like makes your veins pop out more.
Yeah, it does. That's why they always tell you to
Yeah.
hydrate before drawing blood.
Oh, is that true?
That's true.
Damn, my dad ran a blood bank. I should know that.
They can never ever find a vein on me, so I always try to chug
That
water.
sucks.
But they can never. I was thinking of getting a tattoo of a vein and like a little target.
That's a great idea.
But yeah, man, like, yeah, I've been trying to do that as well. Unfortunately, my favorite method of cooking is with a microwave, and I just
Yeah,
can't
that's a shame.
find the motivation to cook on my own. But luckily, my roommate makes some fucking amazing food, and it's like
that's
healthy
awesome.
as well.
Yeah, that's clutch, man.
But
I mean, I wouldn't be eating the way I eat now if it wasn't for Christina. So it takes, you know, sometimes it takes someone else to fucking introduce that shit to you.
right.
Which I think we should introduce this podcast.
You think?
I think so.
You know what? Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead.
I think we've done enough CPAP and weight loss talk. So, what's up, buddies? And welcome to another episode of Earbuds, the podcast where two good friends talk about one good album for a certain amount of good time.
only a certain amount of good time. It's not
That's
all
we
going to
can
be
promise.
a good time.
No, it's all we can promise is that a certain amount of this podcast will be enjoyable.
Yep.
We are your hosts, Lucas Innerkovs. That's me. I am the monster of Monterey.
Oh, that's you?
And I got my buddy and co-host here, Brett, the digital power button hammerhand.
I turn, yeah, baby, because I turned the woman on and off.
You make her all ones and zeros.
Yep. They call me the binary boy.
You get into her bits.
Get through her bits and binary pieces.
And you know, some people call us the odd couple of podcasts.
Well, wait a second. Lucas, I'm hacking into the government computer. I'm in the Pentagon. It says here that they've been calling us under code buds. They've been calling us the pod couple of oddcasts.
The pod couple of oddcasts. I kind of like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like our alias.
It's kind of like a nickname, I guess. It's kind of like
nickname.
It's like an endearing title.
I like it. I've always liked nicknames. I've always given people nicknames, and no one's ever given me one. And the only nicknames I've ever had are ones that I've given myself. How sad is that?
Well, every time I called you Sloppy Toppy, you always met it with like aggression.
Well, it's because I didn't like that one.
Well, you don't get to choose which nicknames you get, do you?
That's true. All right, call me Sloppy Toppy from now on.
Sloppy Toppy, please.
Sloppy Toppy. Sorry, it's Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Well, we are the pod couple of oddcasts. Let's go with it.
Let's try that out for a bit. Let's see how it works.
Let's go with it. And the album that we're going to talk about today, Brett.
Lucas.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bud.
What's the album that we're talking about today?
You know what? Let me hack back into the Pentagon real quick.
Bleep, bloop, bloop.
It didn't remember the password, so I got to do it again. It's Telefone by Noname, or Telefone.
Telefone by Noname.
Telefone by Noname.
And Noname is a female, I would say, like slam poet / rapper.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't say slam poet as much as just regular poet.
I mean, okay, you're right. Yes, she is a poet / rapper from Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
This album came out in 2016, so we're probably getting to like 5 years old now at this point, and this is technically a mixtape.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's the first album that I heard by her. She has had a few releases since then, and I would say, you know, it might just be the whole, like, you know, it's the first album that you heard by this person that got you into them thing, but it is my favorite album by her still. She's released, I think, 2 albums since then, and they're both really good. Like, she hasn't really lost a step, but man, I fucking love this record.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure you did the research as well. But this album was supposed to be released in like 2012.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really see that, but I will say, dude, like, there's probably more notations and artist comments and producer comments on this record on Genius.com of any album that we've done so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like, if you really want to get into the background of every track, they have a blurb and a little, you know, factoid from the producer or Noname herself, like, for every song. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's dope. Usually that kind of notation is reserved for like the most popular albums and artists.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you how popular Noname is, though I've seen her around even before doing this episode, and I knew about her.
Yeah, I mean, she has over 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. By now, she's big, but this album, you know, 5 years ago, I'm not sure how much it blew her up or not, but I was surprised to see like how much information there was about this record just on Genius.
Right.
And just going back to what you were saying, like that this was supposed to come out in 2012. There's a song on this record that she kind of mentions that.
Yeah,
she mentions what is it on?
Well, she mentions it a couple times throughout the record, honestly.
You know, I only caught it once, and I think I'm trying to remember what song it was on, but she basically talks about like taking care of her aunt who had cancer.
Was
and
it
that,
maybe
and basically that
Reality Check?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they can't, like, I was thinking, you know, she mentions basically fate calling or fate knocking on the door. That's kind of what the whole song is about, reality check. And she mentions, I was too busy taking care of my aunt, or there was a cancer scare or something like that. And it just kind of like, shows you, to me, I was just like, that is a really easy way to tell all of her listeners like what her priorities really are. It's just like, yes, I have this talent, but like, she held off having an obviously like really successful career to like take care of family and to be closer to family. And I think that's like that's really indicative, that line alone, where for the whole record, where she gets like really personal, and it's great.
Yeah, and on the first song, she kind of hits on those notes as well on Yesterday. She's like, I know the money don't make me whole. And she kind of talks about, I don't know, like the opposite of what most other rappers talk about, with like grandeur and
Right.
just having everything. And she kind of tries to list out her priorities, and her grandma actually is mentioned a lot of times on this album.
Yeah,
so
she
it's
is.
obvious that she holds her very dear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of that's kind of a through line throughout all the songs. Is the lyrics are just really, really personal and unique to her. Like there's I mean, there's times where it gets really heavy, where there's a song about like essentially what sounds like an abortion experience that she had. And that's, it gets really heavy. I think it's called Bye Bye Baby is the song where, she talks about that. And there's a lot of talk about like police brutality and
Right.
growing up just as a black woman and living as a black woman. There's, but it goes from all that to like, she has a song about like sex, and she's really playful with her lyrics too, which I think is really fun. It's like she'll have like a really heavy line, and then the next line will be funny.
She's very dynamic with her moods and her themes and mainly her tone, I guess. But she it's all very personal lyrics. It's all unique lines that no one else would be saying. And she touches on a lot of different subjects throughout the album, a lot of different topics and themes.
Yeah, and I think she is an MC. She does rap on this record, but I would say like this is more of an R&B record than a hip hop record, right?
Yeah, sure. It definitely. I mean, I couldn't exactly tell you all the differences between hip hop and R&B, but it definitely, like, all the songs are very jazz laden. All the lyrics are very passionate and personal. Which I guess relates more to R&B than hip hop.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're hearing like, like people like Little Sims, and I think she's out of the UK, who's like getting more personal with her lyrics. But I love her, but she also has the braggadocio, approach.
Right.
But yeah, I would say like honestly, like R&B and hip hop are like starting to blend a lot more lately. I feel like there's one of the things that I credit this album was getting me into this type of music too, like kind of exposing me to other artists like Saba, who's one of the producers of this album, but also an MC and a rapper and a singer in his own right, and really good. Same with Smino. Like Smino's another guy that I got really into, and Raven Lene. All three of them, like this, were featured on this record, and that's what and to kind of, I'll go off on that in a little bit, but it's cool that it showed me this world of this like blending like hip hop attitude in with R&B, which was like totally new to me, and R&B was always so cheesy to me, and like really cheesy music and really cheesy lyrics, and
Right.
kind of like almost like so easy to make fun of, and you've seen it made fun of so many times that I think that's why it's just like I've seen it parodied in so many things that it's almost like you listen to it and you're like, oh my god, this is the joke. Like this song sounds like a joke because you've heard it made fun of so many times. So like
Right.
hearing this type of R&B where it's like it has attitude, it has lyrics that actually have, very personal themes, and can get heavy and can be fun, and I think is really cool, man. Like, this is you kind of dive down the Noname rabbit hole, and you're gonna find like a lot of stuff that's really similar to this, but really good.
Yeah, and even with R&B, like it seemed like every song is about like, baby, I love you, we gonna do it to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
even when she talks about love and like intimacy, it still subverts kind of the R&B style because it's so personal, and
Yeah.
she just talks about it differently than other R&B artists.
Yeah, I think it's like, it definitely is like, she speaks about relationships in a way that's not lovey-dovey, but then at times, like, that's the thing, is there's nothing like, there's so little that's cheesy about No Name,
Which is
and
odd.
which is odd. Like, you would think that this would be almost like kitschy, like this
Yeah.
type of this, because the music, like, dude, I love all the I love all the music on this record. Like, they're so, like, they all sound so similar. All the songs, like, musically sound so similar, but
Yeah.
it does give it like this whole like vibe, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely stays consistent throughout the record and keeps you in this mood space.
Man, such great smoking music. Like, this is so good to get high to, man. It's so, because there's also so much going on in these songs, and there's a lot of psychedelicness to it.
Really?
To me, there is, like, and that's psychedelic is just kind of like the generic term that I use for anything that makes me, like, when I'm high, just kind of go like, whoa, like, it kind of like makes your like hair stand up a little bit, and it's all these little production choices that they made, like on like All I Need. It has this like electric piano that kind of like warps in and out.
Uh,
It's like sweeping.
yeah, right. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just like wah 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 wah, and like, really, like, something as simple as that will like make my fucking ears tickle, and like my eyes will like squint, and I'm just like, especially if I listen to it loud enough. And there's a lot of like really good synth and electric piano on this record, and it just gives you that 80s like jazz vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's also something cheesy to the music too, right?
Well, it's very odd because Chance the Rapper is kind of the same way. They're
I never
actually
really got into.
they're so similar. In
She's like the
ways.
female Chance the Rapper.
I mean, I wouldn't be so derogative. I wouldn't,
Oh, excuse me.
but like I wouldn't be so like, oh, she's the girl version of it, But
Yeah, I
she
understand that,
definitely,
yeah.
like, her flow and her lines have the same kind of mood and tone on them. The music is very pretty and kind of laid back. And her biggest breakout was featuring on a Chance the Rapper song.
Right, she was on his acid rap album, right?
Yeah, I believe it was Lost was the song. And that's what kind of got her into the limelight for a bit. And that was released in 2013, 3 years before this album, and she somehow still managed to stay relevant that whole time, which speaks to, I guess, how much talent and charisma she has to keep people intrigued with a couple singles here and there.
She does. I mean, charisma, like, fucking coming out the wazoo, man.
Yep.
Like, she's just dripping with like swagger, but
Yeah.
also like she has that like effortlessly cool vibe to her.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that she's got that suave, kind of smooth coolness about her, where she's just kind of like delivering these lines with that flow, and it's just so laid back and effortless.
Yeah,
That
just like so
it's
cool.
Yeah, like you could
Like,
imagine meeting her in a club, like a poetry club, and just talking to her, and she'd just be the coolest laid back person you'd ever meet.
and I would just be like intimidated by her because she's so cool.
Right.
It's like that type of cool where you're just like, oh, I can't even match your energy, and like you're not even trying. And I try so much harder to be so less cool than you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
smooth, and she just seems like it's a really cool like dichotomy of like she seems very like confident and insecure at the same time.
Right.
Or maybe it's confident and like vulnerable or something
Well,
where
it's,
like I'm like she's confident but she can still be hurt, you know?
yeah, she's confident, but still, I mean, she's putting herself out there for sure, and she knows that.
Like she's not too cool to feel.
Right.
You know, she's not too cool to be like really honest with her emotions and like really open about that. And it's just there's something really like just so like intimidating
Well, it's
of that type of personality to me.
yeah. It seems like to her, throughout these songs, you get the impression that she thinks that being vulnerable and emotional and unforgivingly loving is cool to her. You know, and
Yeah.
usually for some reason, especially with guys, like being emotional and being outwardly loving and trying to look positively at the world is lame.
Yeah, it's somehow like weak
It's
or
weak. Yeah.
or not just not manly. And that's something, man, I've combated that my whole fucking life.
Right. Yeah, cuz it's just this kind of stigma that everyone grows up with, that the man needs to be almost emotionless and strong by
Yeah,
not
stoic.
like you can't cry and you can't like tell people you love them for some reason because you have to be the Rock or
Right.
something. You can't.
You can't show vulnerability. It's like a caveman mentality where it's like if I show any weakness, I'm gonna like my alpha status
Right.
is gonna be fucking taken from me. You know, that's like the we're not lions.
Yeah. And
You
even
know, and it's hard to find. That's what got me so into Smino and Saba after listening to Noname because they are the new, you know, male. Like they are R&B, but they are hip hop at the same time, and so you get the best of both worlds, where they're just like they're these confident guys who can also be vulnerable and talk about really personal shit all the time. I mean, like Earth Gang is such a great representation of that. You know, and it's just like that's why I don't think either of us really like. To an extent, I love really braggadocious hip hop because it's like, oh my god, it's like so ridiculous.
I mean, you
like
do.
hearing,
Yes.
you know, like hearing some of the things that they say, I'm just like, god damn, I like. There's parts of me that wish I had that type of like fucking narcissism, you know, just cockiness. Like, there's something to that I think is very attractive and like powerful.
Yeah.
But you know, and I wish I want to have that balanced out with the vulnerability and knowing that part of my personality, the really braggadocious part, it is putting on airs.
Right.
But it's, you know, if you can make it funny or you know, charming, then that's great. Like that's Action Bronson to me. You know, that's Run the Jewels to me.
Right.
It's making arrogance like funny and almost like tongue-in-cheek at that point because it's so turned up to fucking 11.
Well, it's almost paradoxical because
Yeah,
you can tell with these guys that they do honestly feel like that confidence and that braggadociousness, but at the same time it doesn't come off like their egos are so inflated and that
because they make fun of themselves too.
Yeah, they do make fun of themselves, and they have
Action makes fun of himself a lot.
they like Run the Jewels will have at least one song, usually near the end of the album, where they do get more emotional and personal with their
Yeah.
stuff, less braggadocious, less on top of the world.
You know, I think Outkast honestly is like a really good representation of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Outkast has everything from the party music to the, you know, gangster rap braggadocious music to like the personal stuff and the more vulnerable and sensitive stuff. And I think they're almost to a T, like exactly what I'm talking about, of just having that balance. It's like you can be a man and you can be sensitive and you can be vulnerable.
Right. And to bring it back, she does reference Andre 3000
Yeah.
in one of the tracks.
Yeah, she has a lot of like in one of the tracks she's referencing like a bunch of people.
Yeah, she I think Missy Elliott, Andre,
Kanye, she mentions Yeezus, she mentions Kanye in one of the songs. Yeah. And it's dude, there's something about Chicago, like people coming out of Chicago in this scene that they tend to gravitate towards like the jazzy beats.
Well, you know, Chicago's kind of the birthplace of that stuff, right?
You know that people say that New Orleans is, but I feel like Chicago definitely was like the birth of the cool. Like, wasn't Miles Davis from Chicago? Was he New York?
I don't know.
You know, I don't know either, but I feel like there's just something really cool about like the vibe of Chicago in general that I feel like the music just is such a great reflection of that. It's just like it's their vibe, man.
Yeah.
That's the vibe of Chicago. That's like when you're in New York, like East Coast hip hop has the vibe of New York. Like aggressive and like it just doesn't stop and it's just bars, you know, like very little hooks and like
Right.
East Coast hip hop. And then the West Coast has like funk and R&B a lot more mixed into their stuff, and they're like bringing back 70s stuff, and like to me that's like the California vibe. It's like this, like any 60s and 70s like R&B music just feels so California. So it's cool like to you know, you hear those distinctions in all those different types of in all those different scenes.
Yeah, it's just interesting how vastly the music changes from region to region, yet how it's still cohesive.
Yeah, man, and there's something about this album too that feels it feels very mixtapey in the sense that it feels like almost like a group project.
Yeah, and in the way that the features are on here,
Yeah.
I feel like is a lot more involved than other rap projects where they just come in, do a verse, and leave.
Yeah, because you think about like, you know, there's Felix, Saba, and Camo B that did pretty much all the writing and producing of the music on this record, but they're also featured on more than half the tracks, like as MCs or singing the hooks.
Mm.
And they have great voices, and as an MC, Saba is fucking amazing. He has the same type of poetic, you know, cadence and delivery of, that's why I call it slam poetry, because it's just this like the delivery of just this, you know, I don't know, there's something really cheesy about poetry too, like when someone reads you poetry,
Sure.
when they get really into it, you know. and it's just, it's crazy how this album probably 10 years ago it would not have bridged the gap for me of combining poetry with R&B and hip hop with music that does sound like an after school special in the 80s. You know, almost cheesy jazzy music, but made really cool too and produced so fucking beautifully. Like everything sounds so nice on this record, but this wouldn't have like been able to, you know, yeah, like kind of bridge the gap for me to where I could get into it. And it's later on in life that I heard this, and I'm able to give it so much more appreciation of just the musicianship alone. But it's really cool that like Saba, Felix, Camo B, Smino, and Raven, I think are all from Chicago also. So they're clearly like all friends and all in the same scene, and they just like, they're like, let's do a fucking, let's help Noname do a mixtape.
I mean, yeah, and you can tell they kind of influence each other, because whenever they pop out a verse, they kind of match Noname and her writing style so well. Like no one's out here like ruining the vibe with some crazy off the wall verse. Like it all fits.
No, they're like falling right in with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like they all know, they're all on the same exact page about like what this song is about, the tone of this song, the themes, and it's rare to see that kind of cohesiveness, honestly.
Yeah, which this album, it gave me the same feeling talking about cohesiveness as Good Kid, Mad City
Yeah.
by Kendrick, because I felt like that album had so much cohesion and like the theme of it being kind of like a story, but also the beats, like even though some were a little different vibes, I felt like they all went so well together. And when I first posted about it, like this is when I had a Facebook, like back in 2012 or whatever, and I was posting about that album being like, holy shit, this is one of the best hip hop records I've heard ever. And I'm like, and I saw that Dr. Dre was like the executive producer of the album. So I'm like, fucking Dr. Dre, like killing it with all these beats, like amazing, like just such cohesion, but able to be so varied too. And I didn't know until after I had posted about it that pretty much every song on that record has a different producer.
Is that right?
Yeah. There's a handful of different producers on that album, which makes it even more impressive to me how cohesive it was.
Huh.
In vibe, but this one doesn't have that, doesn't have all those different people in it. So it's like you have pretty much Felix and Saba and Camo B either all working together or switching off on all these songs and writing the music, and it's just like just has this great fucking like it's I can't say that all the songs don't sound the same, because they do.
Right.
But they all have something different to offer, in terms of like a little piano part that stands out, or a specific synth that stands out, or like some songs use electric bass and some songs use fretless like electric bass, like or like some use like a synthesizer bass and other ones use like a fretless bass, and it's just like they all have the different feelings. And man, listening to this in a car or like with a really good pair of headphones, like you can get all of that in at once. And that's why I say like it's such a great smoking record. It's just like it envelops you, and it's like there's so many background vocals going on during like in all these songs too, and those like will build and just kind of like and almost feel like surround sound at certain points. Like on Sunny Duet, on All I Need, on Reality Check, like those, like on a lot of these songs, it's just like they'll have these like 4 or 5 people all singing at the same time, all singing different harmonies to each other, so it just builds this chord, and then they'll like wah, and they'll like get bigger, and they'll get like airy, and they'll like fill the fucking room, and they'll just like fill the fucking like big cavity I have in my head. And all my sinuses will like vibrate and shit. I'm just like, oh, like I can
Your
feel
skin
this.
will clear up, and
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
your
it'll
hair
like
will grow thick and strong.
it'll clear my pores, and like yeah, and I'll it really is like there's something like very encompassing about this record. Like you really do like it is an album to me. It's so cohesive that it does like. You can sit down in one sitting. It's 33 minutes long or something. Like,
Yeah.
It is so easy to sit down and just vibe out for half an hour,
Right.
And it's one of those that has so much going on lyrically from everyone, not just Noname, but all of her features too, that the re-listenership or like the replayability is so fucking strong on this album.
For sure, and especially since it's odd because the music is very chill, and the vibe of the vocalists are very chill, but they kind of rap pretty fast throughout this whole album. So going back and catching some lines you didn't catch before also adds to that replayability.
And there's a lot of lines, dude. You give Noname 16 fucking measures to rap in, and she's gonna give you so much.
Her life story.
She will tell you, yeah, she's and it's so cool to see the all her features be able to do the same thing. Like some of the features might just be singing hooks, and some of those hooks are fucking great and get stuck in my head all the time. But it's everyone just has this like poetic lyricism to it that, yeah, man, and just that plus all the notes on Genius, which I didn't even get to go through all of them. like make it this whole you get this whole experience listening to this record. And it's a really all around like this is the only album of the 20 something that we've done so far that Genius has added so much to the experience of listening to it.
Well, it also might be because we pick not so popular and current albums.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case for sure.
But I think we ought to go into Nar Nugs.
Yeah, man. Man, this was hard. It was hard for me to pick my Nugs.
Right.
Which I'm sure you're not surprised of at this point. Like, I'm just gushing over this record. But, you know, love Yesterday. I love Diddy
Right.
Bop. Love Reality Check. You know, there's only a few songs that I felt like were like not skippable because I like every song. I don't love every song. But there were some few that were just like, okay, like not standouts, you know?
Yeah.
Even though if musically there were some parts in all those songs that I still really liked a lot, and especially like, you know, stoned listening to it, like I can still sit there and vibe for the whole fucking album, but I almost fucking ran out of breath there. I would say my first like clear winner is Sunny Duet,
Sunny Duet.
the second album.
The second song.
That, or the second song, that intro where they took some vocal lines of almost like a barbershop quartet type sounds, but they edited them to where they're like,
Yeah.
it's almost like it might be like a piano line or like a horn line, but they use like 3-4 harmony vocals and cut it up in a dude, that is so cool. And sounds so awesome and beautiful and like original to me.
I mean,
And oh sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah. It just yeah. I didn't have anything to add.
I know I'm just like gushing,
I started
man.
talking and I didn't.
I feel like I'm just going off right now. I'm sorry, but Sunny Duet, like, you know, and they have that kind of delayed or almost ping pongy hi hat throughout the whole thing. That every time he hits the hi hat, it does like, and it adds to that like lo-fi music to study to kind of like trippy vibe a little bit. Very stony.
Right.
And man, yeah, and she does kind of like quick delivery, and there's one line that by The Mind, who has a great voice, where he goes like, "This world is oh so crazy."
You're kind of cutting out a little bit there, bud.
Oh no, can you hear me?
It's like it like comes in waves. It's like you're moving back and forth from the microphone.
Oh, my bad. Maybe I moved the microphone a little bit. But yeah, anyway, like the line by The Mind where he's singing that vocal part in the chorus where he's like, "This world is oh so crazy," and he does like a high note of it and he does the really low note of it, and those two like voices together are just like so cool. And I love The Mind's voice on this song too.
Yeah, and that with the barbershop kind of like doo-wops is kind of a perfect combination.
Yeah, man, and man, yeah, this was like, it's just it's so unique, but also like gives me very clear like 80s jazz, like Herbie Hancock type vibes.
Right.
Right? Like, yeah, that's definitely one of my choice nugs.
Now, what was your second one?
My other one was Interlude. Freedom
Interlude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing lyrics in that song.
Yeah,
she goes off, man.
It's one of the few tracks without any features on it.
Yeah, she goes off for like, I think it's just about 3 minutes.
Yeah, right. I do wonder why it's called. I wonder why it's labeled interlude, honestly, because it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds. It's the 6th track. I guess it's in the middle, but it sounds like as much a song as any other song.
Yeah, going into it, I forgot the first time, because I only heard this album once before we decided to do it on the podcast, and when I was like re-listening to it, I was just like, oh cool, an interlude's coming up, like a nice 3-minute instrumental. And I think it's because, like, to me it sounds like musically it is an interlude, Is
it?
It's kind of it's the whole song is the same 3 or 4 chords and the same drum part for 3 minutes.
I mean, yeah, it seems like she really wanted to focus even more so on her vocals and what she's saying. Rather than any musical intricacy, I guess.
Yeah, right. The music is a lot more of like just a platform for her lyrics on the song. And it's so
you
cool.
can make an argument for any song.
For any track, right. But honestly, like musically, if this was an instrumental album, I would love it too. It's like she adds a lot to it. She makes it really good, but without her on it, I would still listen to this record.
Right.
And I love, like, on the interlude, like there's this like really nice like synth pad, kind of like doing this like like this really nice like jazzy, really chill. It reminded me a lot of Common has a song. It's the opening track of his album B. I don't know if you've ever heard that album.
I haven't.
Well, yeah, there's a really dope synth part at the end that's like this, but like turned up like really loud. So this is like a really chill, stony version of it. I really loved it. And like the drums having that consonant, like the yeah, like just hitting the snare, with the little brushes, and just like lightly tapping the kick. It's very like droney. I mean, the whole song.
I know she has a Tiny Desk concert. I haven't watched it, but I bet it's fantastic. I bet it translates very well.
Oh, I bet. I'm watching that after we record this for sure.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that sucked is the first time I'd heard this record, the end of Freedom had like a soundbite of Nina Simone like being interviewed.
Yeah.
Talking about what it means to feel freedom, what it means to like feel free. And it's a really cool, really like beautiful quote by her. But the version on Spotify doesn't have it anymore. They took it out.
Yeah, mine YouTube Music doesn't have it. I was confused when I got on Genius, and it described this whole thing on there. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I was confused by that. And I don't know. I think it's like so beautiful. Like let me see if I can freedom. I want to pull up the quote because she talks about being able to finally like kind of lose herself on stage only a few times. And the quote is, I don't know who, it probably says on Genius like who's interviewing her. But he asked her like what's free to you, and she said like, how do you describe being free? Like she said it's just a feeling. It's like, how do you tell someone how it feels to be in love? Like, how are you going to tell anybody who has not been in love how it feels to be in love? You can't do it to save your life. You can describe things, but you can't tell them. But you know when it happens. That's what I mean by free. I had a couple times on stage when I really felt free. And she goes, that's really something else. I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. And I think that's like so beautiful. And, originally, like, I think this might have been my choice snug when I listened to the album last year. But I remember that quote, listening to like that quote stayed with me. And it was such a beautiful like way to end this song where she's getting so like you said, it's like, it's lyrically, it's very personal.
Right.
And she's talking about alcoholism, and she's talking about, losing her grandma again, like bringing it up. And she's talking about falling in love and then falling out of love. And she even fucking mentions Bill Cosby, which I think it was such a great line. Bill Cosby ain't the God we made him. They all forgave him.
Yeah.
Just like, whew, god damn. Like so heavy
And even
and anyway, yeah.
like with them, I mean, I think they recently overturned his verdict, right? Or they
They
like
fucking
said he was
did.
innocent.
I
And-
can't believe it, man.
And I guess that, it's weird. They all forgave him. Made in 2016.
Man, I saw a lot of people that I follow on Instagram, like rappers and actors and everything, that had a hard time even believing any of the women because of how beloved Cosby is, man.
Yeah, it was kind of like I never watched it, but Mr. Rogers was kind of the equivalent to.
Yeah. He was the most wholesome dad on TV.
Yeah.
And he was a black dad. So
Yeah.
it was so important to so many people. And I watched it so much growing up, man. Like the Cosbys was like huge for me growing up. So finding out about that was hard for me too. But it's crazy to see how many people have many excuses for him. Either even saying like, oh, they weren't trying to sleep with Bill Cosby to fucking get ahead. It's just like, Jesus Christ, like, and it's cool to see like Noname just being like, putting it out there and being like, he's not the god we made him out to be, but like everyone still forgave him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, there's I would say Interlude is the one that I feel most personally, or Freedom is the one I feel most personally connected to on this album. Like the song that to me like will make me cry when I listen to it. So easy, strong fucking choice nug for me.
Well, all right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to come to a consensus about what your favorite songs on here are, but it's good that you got to it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the support.
Myself, I was definitely the first song Yesterday. Like, I love even just like the first lines she does. And I thought the first time she said, and I know that money don't make me a hoe.
Don't really make me hoe.
And I was curious about like, what is, I guess she's like, yeah, I don't feel guilty about getting all this money or something.
Sure.
And then the lyrics, when I looked it up on Genius, made a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's a great hook on that song.
And I just love her vocals throughout this entire song. I think she went above and beyond on this track, on the verses and the chorus. Like on the verses, she's a little more active, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A little more energetic than some of the other songs, which isn't saying too much. But I also love the kind of backup vocals in the back, the kind of chorusy, choir-sounding backing tracks, especially
when the sun's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like yesterday. It's so pretty, man.
And like maybe my favorite part on this album is the second time she does that first couple of lines, like, and I know the money don't really make me, because those little backup vocals come in, and it's just so satisfying and clean and smooth.
Yeah, when they're doing like, when the sun is going down, the darkness is gonna stay, and then like when everyone comes in, like it was yesterday, and like it's like 5 people singing at that point, like a chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those hooks on this album that gets stuck in my head a lot.
The sun is going down.
And really dreamy, nice electric piano, really great jazzy drumming.
Yeah, right. Probably some of the more active drums on this album, which again isn't
saying a lot.
much.
Yeah, it's still pretty fucking chill, but it's great drumming. It's very tight in the pocket drumming the whole album.
Yeah,
and this is a nice intro to like, yep, this is how tight you're gonna hear it the whole record. Really nice technical jazz drumming.
Yeah,
and I love the piano line on this song, but it sounds like, when I say cheesy, like it's this type of stuff where it almost sounds like Charlie Brown music.
I don't know. I think it sounds nostalgic for a time that I didn't live in.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It sounds like early 80s, late 70s, early 80s like jazz music, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even early 90s, like that type of progressive jazz that got really cheesy. But yeah, man, yesterday's a good one. That was one of my contenders for sure. What's your other one?
My other one is Casket Pretty,
That's a great
which
one,
is
man.
I didn't mean to pick two of the four songs that don't have features, but I guess that's just what happened. Even though
I
the
mean,
features are fantastic on the album, I guess I just love Noname the best.
I don't blame you, dude. I mean, Casket Pretty also has it's quick and hits you good.
Yeah, it's under 2 minutes. It has this I don't know how to describe the music of this one. It has a very breathy synth kind of doing this tiny little hook.
Yeah, and then that really nice at the end of every one of those lines, that string little thing that comes in and kind of like builds
Yeah,
up as it's coming in.
kind of like a harp or something. Like
Yeah, I wonder.
a
It sounds like a very filtered, compressed like strings from like an old movie or something.
yeah, and also the all my is Casket Pretty, ain't none in this sad city. Like I love how that. I don't know if that's a chorus or anything, but I love how she uses that. I love how she says that.
Yeah, what a term too, casket pretty. Like god
Yeah,
damn.
man. It's just like the subject matter as well is so rough, and it's not fun to think about.
No.
But
She even said when she wrote it, like the summer before she wrote it, there had been like a lot of police brutality in Chicago, so she was like using that as just like, basis for this song, and it's definitely what most of it seems to be about, and just talking about casket pretty because you're thinking like, you know, police brutality, but also like gang violence and stuff. People always talk about like not wanting to get shot in the face so they can have an open casket. You're like,
right.
fucking hell, man.
It's like shit, man. That's and it's obviously nothing that I can relate to or anything.
Right, I was thinking the same thing. It's like something I hope I can never relate to, but you can still empathize, right? Like how.
I mean, yeah, and it's just the imagery that she gets across. She knows how to paint a scene, and she loves writing lines with colors.
Yeah.
And I think it makes for a very vibrant picture. And I love the line, "Too many babies in suits."
Yeah, man, there's so many ways to take that. Because like you think like when people get buried, they're usually buried in a suit, right? And you
Yeah,
can say babies just like young people just getting shot from violence or police brutality, but also like I thought too like young people going to jail, and when you're in court, you're in a suit, you know?
yeah, and there was a kind of another way to interpret it. I know this isn't the right one, but I also kind of interpret it as the cops in suits and just how
Oh,
immature they are with their power,
yeah.
because
Can't control their.
the whole time she's talking about the cops and their ego and how much they lust for that power and that domination, like a
Yeah.
child would.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you get that power fucking trip,
Yeah,
and kids get a power trip too, man.
collecting your checkmate. I know you in love with the power. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
man. But it's also like you think it's crazy to have such heavy themes with such beautiful music.
yeah.
It's really nice. Like, dude, definitely check out Saba, check out Smino. I think you would really dig both those guys a lot if you like this. Which leads me to your rating.
Well, uh,
What do you, how do you feel about this album?
I, if this were an instrumental album, I would not listen to it because I love it's very beautiful music. It's very pretty. It's great to smoke to or whatever. But
Fuck you. Or whatever you fucking always do.
Yeah, but to my little caveman brain, it's just not enough to keep me interested. And all the songs kind of share the same feel about them. It's kind of hard for me to hum out any particular song. I can remember the lines and the lyrics much easier than the music. So Noname is really the one that got this thing, across the 10-yard line for me. And her charisma, her poeticism, her imagery is fantastic. She's a beautiful lyricist. With that being said, I think I'm gonna give it around like a 6. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe a little lower. Like a 5.8 or a 6 or something, because it's a really easy album to listen to, and it's pretty, but there's nothing that really hooked me
musically
so hard musically. Yeah.
Because you said like you like the features, you like Noname, but dude, I mean, yeah, if the music doesn't grab you from the first song, then it's not gonna grab you by the last one.
Yeah,
because there's not gonna be much else for you to take in.
It like the first song kind of is one of the more musically not rich, but I guess involved. Mm-hmm. And so if that doesn't,
there's more energy in it, right?
Yeah, right.
It's an energetic opener for sure. Yeah,
which is probably part of the reason why it's one of my favorite songs. It's that it's one of the more energetic ones on the album.
Yeah.
But yeah, I not to do parallels, but I do prefer Chance the Rapper over this, because he's just a little more energetic.
Right.
He's a little more, I guess, zany. He's got, his music is a little more, it's a little harder. It's definitely not as like chill the entire time for like the entire album. But yeah, it like a 5.8 is what I'm saying for this album.
All right. That's cool. I'm obviously going to be way higher than yours.
Yeah.
I'm way higher than you right now.
I would hope so.
You sound way higher than me, but I'm way higher than you right now. Which is, God, dude, like I went off on a tangent, like talking about this record, just because like I'm listening to it while we're talking right now, and it's just like it is so good. I love this album so much, and it gets better the more I listen to it. Like I said, the replayability on this thing is just, it's so layered, and the music is so textured and dynamic, but every song has the same vibe, every song has the same motif, but
right.
there's so much going on in each track that I can just sit there and be like, oh, those little like clicky things, I'm like, I love that. I would definitely say, like, and I haven't said this in a few records, because it's a belief I don't really hold on to much anymore, but there's examples like this where I truly feel like smoking weed makes this album so much better. Like I know
you try to stay away from saying stuff like that as much as you can.
Honestly, like I try not to say it often, because like some things just are objectively good, and some things get that fucking that boost from smoking along with it. And this is one of those records, man. The music it is so nice on my ears when I'm high, and it adds so many, like literally like moments where I get goosebumps or tickled or tingly, or my brain, like you ever had those moments where you listen to music and like you feel like there's like a wash over your brain from like it starts in your forehead, and it almost feels like these, like you're getting, like it's like a little tidal wave like going over the whole top of your head.
I think on a very, very few occasions I've felt that.
Okay, I used to feel it a lot more, like in my teens and like early 20s,
Mm.
and I don't really get that feeling that much from music as often. And this is one of the records that, like, the first time I listened to it, and still at moments, is just this wash of this like cool feeling that starts at like right above my eyebrows and spreads over my forehead and goes to the back of my head, of just like moments on the album that just give me this like existential fucking experience. So I get a lot out of this record when I'm smoking along with it. And so I mean, for me, this is like a solid 9.
Wow. Well, all right. I believe that's. Did you listen to this on album of the day?
I did.
Well, it must be higher than you rated
I
it
think
back
it
then.
is. Yeah, I think it is. Like, yeah, like I said, like the replayability, because there's so much there in in terms of like textures in the music and in her lyrics. Like, I get more and more the more I listen to it. I get more out of it.
Right.
And it makes the experience of like then listening to it again, I'm listening to it with more almost like knowledge and experience of the record. So I listen to it with a new appreciation. And what's great is that every time I've done that, I still get something new. So the next time is even more appreciated. Like, it just, this album has built for me. And it's like, it's really like, it's very unique in that way. So it's grown on me, literally, like, in my appreciation for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Yeah.
Well, goddamn.
Well, I guess that's yeah, man. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll come back to it someday. Maybe it'll grow a little more on me. I'm sure this
Yeah,
won't be the last I listen to Noname at all.
Yeah, and like I said, dude, check out Smino and Saba. Like, knowing that you don't really get much out of this music, they have similar music, but they definitely have more, I would say, more energy and other things to offer in terms of like lyrics and stuff. Smino is more of the R&B, more like singy type stuff, like love songs, but also can like talk about smoking weed and like doing like, hood stuff with his friends.
Yeah.
And then Saba is more of the like existential, personal lyrics, that you might get like something from both of those guys. But yeah, man, I'm glad you got something out of Noname at least. I was hoping. I didn't know that you were a fan of Chance the Rapper, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to get, connect with that with this album coming from like, appreciation for something that's already kind of like similar to it.
Yeah, and I do have a Chance the Rapper album on our little list of albums to talk about. I was thinking 50-50. I may or may not bring it up, because if you don't, like, Chance has he can have a pretty annoying voice if you don't.
That's why
like
I haven't been able to get into him.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I didn't want to make you listen to a whole album of it, like being annoyed and frustrated by his voice the whole time.
But I mean, I haven't given him an honest chance, so I'm down to listen. Like, I wouldn't, be upset if you picked it. But what album do you want to do next time?
I will tell you sometime today.
All right. Well, we will listen to Redacted on next episode.
You can edit it in later.
Yeah, I'll splice it in. Well,
right.
buddies, thanks for listening. Leave us a comment. You can find us on Instagram at EBPcast. You can find Brett at Brett Hanrahan with like 38 A's. You can find me at Jean-Luc Guitard. Give us follows. Give us some likes. Give us some comments. Let us know what you thought about this record. And average based on me and Brett's reviews, it's like a 7, maybe 7.5 for an average listener. So y'all might dig it.
Yeah.
And Brett, you were half asleep throughout this episode, but you did it. You fucking, we're done. We're at the end.
Oh shit.
Oh, you
What?
were you?
Oh no.
Were you talking in your sleep again?
This was the. Oh God, this is so embarrassing. I sleep podcast a
Dude,
lot.
You've done it before, but I didn't think you were fucking still doing it.
Well, it's just such a hard addiction to kick.
It's really impressive. Like we had a coherent conversation, even though you were kind of slipping in and out of consciousness at times.
Are we? Oh, we're an hour and a half in. Oh wow.
That's it, dude. We have another 45 minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I guess.
All right. So the album we're talking about today is "Telefone" by Smino Sabo.
By Noname.
I didn't listen to it, so I don't really know.
All right. Well, pop it on now, and we'll just like kind of have we'll have a live reaction.
Yeah. The second half of this episode will be up on our Patreon. So go ahead and.
Oh, dude, I haven't even been recording.
Oh.
Oh, well then let's just start over. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
What's up, buds? Welcome to another episode